Respected Head of the Department, Dr. Neeturaj R., Program Coordinator, Dr. Muhammad Anshad PY, faculty members, and my dear students. Today, Electa, the Association of Electronics and Communication Engineer, WASTC, is organizing a webinar on how to approach research journals. First of all, I welcome you all to the session. Today, we have with us an eminent person from industry who's well-versed in machine learning and deep learning. We have here today Mr. Naveen KS, who has been working on various machine learning projects, creating predictive models, especially in classification. He has also got a strong background in project management and customer relations. He has published and presented various technical articles in reputed international journals and conferences. He has delivered various technical talks and workshops organized by academic institutions and private and government organizations. He is also pursuing his PhD in the area of machine learning. Currently, he works as a machine learning engineer at Quinoid Business Solutions. I, on behalf of Vidya Academy of Science and Technology Technical Campus, welcome you, sir, to deliver the informative talk. Over to you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you for the introduction. Am I audible now?
Yes, sir, you are.
Okay. So it's a huge task for me to talk about how to approach for a research journal, that too in the afternoon. I hope everyone had your food and majority of you people might be feeling sleepy. But unfortunately, it's the major task for me to take the class and session now. So I have prepared a slide PPT for this thing, but never mind, don't go through in depth with those kind of stuffs. I will go through how to, what exactly, I will make you know that what exactly is a journal paper and what's the major difference between a journal paper and a conference paper. And then I will let you know that how to search for a particular paper that in the area that you are trying to do your research or do your PhD or do your project, etc. Then I will let you guide you how to read a particular paper, because majority of the journal paper consists of more than 30 or 40 pages. So someone might take 14 pages or 15 pages. So it will be more tedious for anyone or a newcomer to read all the 15 pages or 20 pages on a stretch. So I will let you know that how to read a particular paper. And then the most important part comes, that is how to write and how to publish a paper. Okay, so this is the flow of the presentation that I am planning to take. Never mind that I have created a PPT, okay, because I will wind up it as early as possible. So the title itself says that how to approach a research journal. Okay, that's the question that I have asked here. So before going in depth with that thing, we need to understand what exactly is a research journal. That's the main question. Okay, what is a research journal? So according to my point of view, research journal is something like, it's a medium to communicate with the scientific community. Okay, scientific community in the sense means, hello? Am I audible?
Yes, sir, you are. Participants are requested to mute themselves.
Okay. So what exactly is a research journal is that each day the science is progressing very vast. Okay, newer and newer inventions are coming. For example, I can cite you one thing. As we all know that we are all going to a pandemic situation like COVID-19. And the last year, similar to this month, we were also having a lockdown situation. Okay, so this COVID-19 is a newer thing for us, newer thing for the human race. So we don't know what exactly it is, what are all the major symptoms. Last year, we don't know that. Okay, right now only the vaccines and medicines and those kind of stuff came. So the scientific community was also very keen to observe that is there any other opportunity for them to give more knowledge about this pandemic situation. So I was also very keenly observing about this disease, and the initial stages I was also counting the number of patients in Kerala and all over India with particular number of states. What I will be doing is I will be selecting the data that is being provided by the government. I will be plotting it in the Excel sheet. Okay, that's the data that I am having. So like that, after that, more number of days, the number of patients started increasing. Okay. So what was my observation was, I am creating a data. I can put some algorithm to that kind of data and I can devise a newer technique and I can write a paper. Okay, that was my initial idea last year. So I was searching for some particular forums and all, no papers were there at that point of time. But it surprised me. Within a week of 2 or 3, around 30,000 papers came in terms of COVID-19. Okay, that's the rise of, 7 times increase of paper that has been published right now. Right now, if you go through the scientific journals or the scientific repository regarding any paper related to COVID-19, it will exceed more than 2 to 3 lakhs. Okay, so that much importance is there for a particular person to write a journal who is going for a research purpose or who is going for a scientific research, because he or she is contributing a knowledge to the scientific community. So these kind of journal papers are a medium to communicate with the scientific community and stating that I have created these kind of things and these are all the newest way of researching. So it's like passing the baton to a newer research scholar or newer scientist. Okay, based on the results that I have obtained for a particular paper, might be some other person who is more interested to work in this area can work it on that. Okay, this is the basic idea of what exactly is a journal paper or why we need more number of research journalists. We are contributing to the scientific community. So if you search in the internet, you can find a lot of scientific forums like Science Direct is there, Web of Science is there, and Elsevier is there. So those kind of things are the repository of articles which consist of these kind of innovations. And also one more thing is that it is diversify of the discipline. Okay, in all the areas we can write journals and research journals. Like arts and science also you can write the journals. In medical science you can write the journals. In networking part you can write the journals. Basically your electronics and communication part you can write the journals. Okay, so whatever innovations that you are trying to keep it up, you can plot it in a paper or you can plot it like a research journal and you can publish it. And I will let you know that what's the benefit of publishing a particular research journal while you are being a student. I'll let you know that later. So before that, let me start with a basic introduction of what exactly is a research journal. So basically, it's a periodic publication with a certain disciplines. Periodic publication in the sense means quarterly wise it's there, monthly wise it's there, yearly wise it's there. So it's a collection of articles that can be published throughout a year. That's what exactly called as a journal paper. But we need to know that what's the major difference between a conference paper and what's the major difference between the conference paper and a journal paper. Because many of the research community or the organizations are nowadays creating more number of conferences, like national conferences are there, international conferences are there. So is there any difference between journal paper and conference paper? Of course, it's there. Because the thing is, journal is considered as a periodical publication that already focuses on a certain discipline and it contains peer-reviewed papers that are generally considered to be credible. Okay, that doesn't mean that conference papers are not credible. The main difference between the journal paper and the conference papers are conference papers are usually short. Okay, short and concise within a limited number of pages are allowed for that. You are not having the luxury to write all the things. And also, I will cite it with one example. Vidya College of Engineering is organizing an international conference. And I am an external participant and I wish to participate in this conference. Okay, so what I will do is I will be writing the paper and the college will be giving me a deadline. And it's saying that it will be published in some journals. Okay, the selected papers, they will be saying like that. The selected papers will be published in some journals. So what I will do is I will be writing a paper all of a sudden with no novelty, or I will be copying the paper from some other people and I will be sending it to the college authorities or the conference coordinators. As you all know that my wife is working as a teacher there. So after seeing my name, she can accept my paper without reading. Okay. And it is going through the particular journal. So there is no credibility. That's the point that I am saying, that there won't be any credibility. But there are conferences there in the in the community, like national conferences organized by NITs, IITs and all, where they will scrutinize the paper for more number of times and more number of people will be employed to scrutinize the paper. Okay, so based on that thing, constructive criticism will be there. Like, right, you will be writing a paper and they'll be giving you the feedbacks. And this the same thing happens to the journal part also. You are submitting the paper to a particular journal, and the journal will be giving some guidelines to the authors, like you need to use this format, you need to be have the line spacing like this, you need to be keep the title as bold. So those kind of instructions, if we follow correctly, and will be writing a paper in our own words, what they are trying to do is they will assign a reviewer who is well versatile in the particular area that I have written a particular paper. So what exactly the reviewer does is, after reading the paper, his aim is to accept this paper, not to disturb you or not to reject you. So what he will do is, he will give you the suggestions how to improve writing. If it is a worth paper, what he will give is, he will be giving you the ideas, and he will give you the suggestions for you to modify the paper. So take it as a constructive criticism. Okay. So based on that thing, you will be modifying the paper, and again you are sending. Again, there will be some other people assigned to review the paper. That's the difference between a conference paper and a journal paper. Here it will be done everything within a particular period of time. In the journal period also, journal paper also, what exactly it does is, the time limit for a particular paper to be get published is flexible. Okay, like if your paper is promising, but there are edits required, there could be a lot of back and forth between you and your editor until your paper is ready to be published, because there will be a lot of communications happening between the reviewer and you. In conference, it won't happen much, but there are conferences, like I said, that for ACM conferences and all, the coordinators might be receiving more than 1,000 or 10,000 papers, but they'll be selecting 6 papers or 10 papers for presentation. Okay, so orally or visually, a presentation is there in the conference part, but in journal part, it won't be there. So that's the basic difference between a conference paper and a journal paper. Okay, so this is a sample journal paper screenshot that I have put forward. I will come through that thing also, because there should be a basic anatomy, basic structure of a particular journal paper. So before that, we need to understand some of the terminologies in a journal paper, because I think almost all the students might be hearing this thing often. If you start doing your research or start doing your higher studies or start reading your paper, the citation of a journal, peer-reviewed journal, Scopus index journal, impact factor of a journal. So I will just cover what exactly is a citation of a journal, or those kind of stuff. So citation of a journal is referred to as like a reference, or reference to the source of information. Like, you will be having an idea in cloud computing. You are writing a particular paper, but the concept of cloud computing has been delivered by some other people, and a lot of papers has been published in the scientific community journals. So you will be referring those journals, and based on those findings that you have read the particular journal, you will be writing in your own. So you need to cite the reference, that from which journal that you are, or from which paper, or from which author's paper that you are taking the idea, or modifying the idea. Okay, it's like what to say, quoting the particular person's name or the link of a particular paper that you have taken. Like the idea of a particular paper, you will be doing further research about the particular idea of a sample paper. So that's what we call as the citation. So next one is the peer-reviewed journal. Peer-reviewed journal in the sometimes is referred to as scholarly publication. What exactly it does is, it will be scrutinized by the others who are expert in the same field. For example, I am a machine learning engineer. I love to work in artificial intelligence. Okay, so my work will be related to AI. So while I publish a particular paper in a journal, for example, ABC or some journal, what they will do is, they will assign a reviewer, or they will assign an examiner to review my paper, who is well versatile in artificial intelligence field. He or she won't give the paper to a person who is well versed in networking. They won't give that. So the area of the choosing the correct discipline is also more important while writing a paper, or while choosing a particular publication. So next one is Scopus index journal. So this thing also, I guess many of the project guides or staff or HOD, even HOD, might request the students to publish a paper in Scopus index journal. While I was doing my post-graduation, At that point of time, I was not aware of these kind of things, Scopus index, those kind of things. I was not aware of that. But right now, the demand of getting papers published in Scopus index is increasing day by day, because a lot of other journals are there, which is having a lesser impact and which is having, what to say, a low quality. Low quality in the sense means if you pay 2,000 rupees, in India, there are 90 or 100 related journals are there willing to publish your paper. Without any review or without any scrutinized review, just money basis, you will be paying some amount to a particular journal people and they'll be publishing your paper. See, last year also I have seen students doing that thing, not in your college, some other college. So it will degrade the quality of the particular student, it will degrade the quality of the particular department also. So instead of that thing, you need to find the Scopus index journal. Scopus is considered as one of the largest and most reputable database, citation database, which consists of academic literature. Like I said, that the people will be writing the paper, and Scopus is something like that. It's a large database. It's a collection of journals and articles in the field like science and technology, medicine, arts and humanities, social sciences. So you need to choose the journals which are listed in the Scopus index, and you need to publish the paper there. So what's the advantage of doing that thing is, when you go for the placement part, the interviewer will be asking. I guess nowadays it's very important because almost all the HRs will be asking whether you have published any paper. And nowadays they are also aware of the fact that Scopus index journals are there, low quality journals are also there. So what they will do is, after seeing that you have published a journal in particular above mentioned low quality journal, what they will do is they will type the journal name. They will Google it. And in that, the review will be there. It will be already mentioned that you need to pay for publishing the paper. So there won't be any credibility for your work. Even though if you do hard work also, if you publish paper in these kind of low quality journals, there won't be any credibility. So what exactly you need to do is, you need to find the Scopus index journals that has been listed in the journal sites and publish the paper there. Okay. And the last one is impact factor of a journal. Impact factor, based on this thing only, you will be choosing a particular journal. So impact factor is considered as the measure of frequency with which the average article in a particular journal has been cited in a particular year. There should be a formula will be there. So for example, it is considered as a ranking scheme. You can consider it as a ranking scheme. So it's more the impact factor. You may say that the journal will be higher. It's not in every scenario. Okay, you need to understand that thing also, because now also the impact factor journals with 20 is also out there, which is having the very worst publication criteria. So don't go for that. Some basic journal things are there, like ACM, Elsevier, PubMed, Web of Science. So these kind of journals are there. You need to choose the journals in such a way that it should be a combination of higher impact factor and a Scopus index one. Okay. And the next one is the questions that we need to address. What exactly is a journal paper? And anatomy of a journal paper I will come later, because the later part itself we will be discussing the anatomy of a journal paper only. So the first thing we need to discuss is how to find a research paper, where you will be finding a research paper. So what's the need of finding the research paper is the basic question. Before asking how to find, what is the need of a research paper? For example, for final year students, there will be a topic called, there will be a tradition called project. For S7 and S8, they from S7 itself, they will be starting the project work. So what the traditional work was, they will be choosing a topic, they will be convincing the guide, there will be a presentation, and they will be doing by their own. But in the background, either they will be doing by their own, or they'll be giving money to some other institutions, and those institutions will be providing the project. Okay, this is the basic tradition that happened in almost all the engineering colleges in India. But there are colleges and there are students, what they will do is, the teacher or the guide will ask them to read papers from these scientific journals. and come up with an idea. Okay, it's an innovative thing. So what they will do is, for example, machine learning. My teacher is saying that, Naveen, you just go and find a topic from machine learning. So what I will do is I will just Google it. That's the first thing that all of the people will do. We will Google it. The problem with Google is anything related to the term that we are typing, it will be a combination of link, it will be a combination of web links, it will be a combination of PDF, it will be a combination of HTML files. So you won't be getting the correct research paper that you are going to get. So for finding the research paper, what you need to do is you need to go for academic search engines, not normal search engines. You need to go for academic search engines. There are search engines that are particularly categorized for academic purposes. I will show you one example. So Google Scholar, this is one of the academic search engine where you will be getting almost all the journal papers or almost all the contributions that's been provided by a particular research community. So here what you can do is like I will be typing machine learning. So when you hit enter, you will be getting a page like this. In that, PDF versions are available. There are some papers like books are also available. Not for every concept, books are also available. So in this repository or in this search engine, what exactly it does is it will curate or it will sort the journals or the papers or the combination of books and whatever articles that has been published in the form of the search tag machine learning. It will publish everything. And here the lecture is that 1 minute. Okay, so in the left side, what exactly it does is you can choose the year also from 1999 onwards, whatever paper it's available, it will list the paper from 1999 onwards. And since 2017, 2020, so we can choose the paper from newest to the late previous one or from the oldest to the newest one. Okay, that's the privilege that we are getting from these kind of academic search engines. There are Google Scholar, PubMed is there, Academia is there, ResearchGate is there. Lot of search engines are there, but the most common search engine that we the researchers use is the Google Scholar. It will list out all the papers from almost all the research journals. So if you click the PDF here, straight away you will be getting the paper. Okay, this is a book chapter actually. So straight away we are getting the things. So like this, you will be searching the particular paper in your area. So the thing that you are going to type here, like machine learning or cloud computing or VLSA design or communication, whatever the tag that you are trying to type, it should be precise and clear. That's the first and foremost thing that you need to understand. For example, I will be doing machine learning for image processing, but I am just typing machine learning means the general tag of machine learning papers will be listed. But precisely if I am typing that machine learning for image processing means it will list out the results, it will filter out the results, it will give the papers in which the machine learning techniques has been applied to a image processing technique. Okay, that's the first and foremost thing that you need to understand. Okay, and the basic thing was 1 minute. Okay, so that's the basic thing that you need to understand regarding the how to find a research paper. So academic search engines are there. Academic search engines are there, and you can download the paper. Like I already mentioned that there should be a PDF version available for almost all the papers, but there are papers which are not being freely available for us. So what exactly we need to do is many of the organizations, almost all the organizations might be having the license, like IEEE license will be there, Elsevier license will be there. So if the organization is having the license, they can easily download the paper from the organization itself, or else the organization library will be there. They'll be providing the documents that are not being able to access freely by the particular student or the research scholar. And I am not supposed to say that, but there is a website called SkyHub that I will let you know later. It's not a way to promote those kind of things, but I will let you know the thing later. Okay. Fine. So this is the way that how to find a paper from a Google Scholar. Okay. So whatever be the thing, whatever academic search engine that you are trying to use, you need to put forward the correct tag name, like VLSI design on something something, or FPGA design for detecting some disease. So you need to be more and more precise in choosing the tag for searching. That's the basic agenda that you need to understand. So that's the way that how you should be finding the research journal from a particular academic search engine. Okay. And the next thing is, this is the most important thing that we are going to discuss today, like how to read a paper and how to publish a paper, how to write a paper and how to publish a paper. Okay. So the don't mind that whatever thing that I have put forward in the slide, never mind. I will let you know that what exactly that I am trying to say. So reading a paper, there is no way for me to teach you that how to read the paper. It's like I am teaching you orally how to ride a bicycle. Okay. It's on your own. But I will tell you the tips and tricks that how to crack the particular journal paper. For example, 1 minute. For example, this is a journal paper. 1 minute. So this is a journal paper, machine learning and physical sciences. Lot of things are coming. So I guess 47 pages are there. So it's not possible for a particular human being or a newcomer to read all the 46 pages or 47 pages. It's not possible initially. Once you get the practice, it will be very easy for you. But initially, it's not possible. Okay. So before reading all the things all of a sudden, what we need to do is we need to understand the basic thing. Like 1 minute. 1 minute. Okay. So each paper might be having a particular format. Format in the sense means one author name will be there. Author's name might be there. Like, for example, the project will be done by 4 members. So while writing a paper, the 4 members' name should be there, and the guide who is guiding you, her or his name should be also be there. A title will be there. Then the most important part is IMRD format. That is like introduction, methods, results, and discussions. These things must be there. Apart from that, the most common thing is abstract. There should be an abstract that you need to write it in 1 paragraph. Okay, there should be an abstract. That is more important. I will show you one thing. See, in this, there is a title is there. Authors' names are also there. Then a paragraph of abstract and the keywords are also there. So I will let you know that what exactly it is. So title is the one thing which is which is concluding that what exact work that you have done. It should be curated to a one title. Okay. So after reading the title itself, we must understand that okay, this is the thing that is happening inside this paper. Okay. So while writing the paper or while reading the paper also, the most important thing that you need to address is you need to read the title or you need to frame the title in such a way that it is more related to your work while writing the paper. While reading the paper, you need to choose the paper which is more relevant to your area. Okay, that's the basic thing that you need to understand. That's the importance of title. Okay, and you need to check the year of the paper. That's another thing, another very important thing, because for example, the machine learning concept or the VLSI concept or the FPGA concept has came long before. If you are choosing a paper from 1986 or 1997 and you start working based on that thing, right now in 2021 also, those kind of more number of research work has been happening in these kind of areas. So we need to up to date, and we need to choose the papers, or we need to read the papers in such a way that we need to be up to date with the knowledge. What are the current trends happening inside that area? We need to be aware of that thing. So based on that thing only, we need to put forward a research question by our own. Okay, so after reading a whole paper, before framing a idea, you need to ask a lot of questions by your own after reading a particular paper. Okay, what exactly is happening inside this paper? What are all the disadvantages for this paper? What I can personally do to fill the gap between the work that has been done in particular paper? So these kind of questions that you need to ask your own after reading 2 or 3 papers. So by comparing 2 or 3 papers, you might be getting a more and more clear-cut idea that, okay, we need to focus on this area. Like for example, if you are going through an operating system like Windows 10 or Windows 8, the papers will be already published, and it will be giving the techniques of what are all the techniques that has been used to build a particular operating system. But you need to read that. You need to identify the gap between the particular research work. Like someone might not be having a proper security, or the technique used in that paper for the security purpose is not so strong. So you might be having an idea that I can combine these two techniques and I can put forward a new idea. So these kind of techniques or these kind of questions might be asked by yourself, and you can frame the research idea from yourself. Okay, instead of taking a random topic and going for those kind of stuff, what you need to do is you need to identify an area, and based on that area, you need to understand the current technology and the fundamental also. Okay, fundamental also you need to understand. Based on the fundamentals, you need to understand the what are all the modifications, or what are all the inventions that are being happening inside right now. So based on that thing, you can frame a research question, and based on the research question, you can go for your work, project work or research work. Okay. And the next most important thing is the abstract part. So you are writing the abstract only a paragraph, but that is the heart of the particular paper. For reviewing also, for writing also, for reading also. So if you skip the abstract, there is no use. You won't be understanding anything. So while you are reading a particular paper or particular journal paper, if you read the abstract, it will give you a basic idea. Then you can connect the title with the abstract. Then you will be getting a more and more clearer idea, and then you will be getting a much more interesting for you to read the entire paper. So abstract can be broken down like this. For what purpose that you are going to write this paper? What methodology that you have done in that particular paper, which data or which atmosphere, which area that you have covered, and finally the result, if any. If you are having any results, you can put forward the results there. So this is the abstract part. So you need to make sure that your abstract should be crisp, and it should not contain any long sentences or long paragraph. You need to an ideal abstract should be considered it as to have 10 to 11 sentences, short sentences, which should address why you are doing this, in which area you are doing this, what methodology that you have approached, and what are all the results that you are getting. While reviewing the paper, after reading the abstract itself, we will decide whether to read the rest of the paper or not. Okay, that's the importance of writing a particular abstract. Okay, so in the writing part, I will let you know that how to write the abstract. Okay, it's not in the sequential format that we are going to write. Okay, so I will let you know that how to read a particular paper. Okay, so first of all, you need to understand the title. Okay, so read the abstract multiple times. This is my way of technique. Okay, read the abstract multiple times. For the first time, if you are reading, means you won't be getting any idea. Second time you read, third time also you read, fourth time also you read. So how many times you are reading, you will be getting clearer and clear time by time. Okay, then you need to note down the words that you are not being familiar with. There will be some technical terms out there. You are not being familiar with those kind of technical terms. So what you need to do is you need to underline the particular technical terms, and you need to Google it, what exactly it is and how it can be related to this area, or how it can be related to your work, or how it can be related to your idea. So that's another thing. And the next thing is you need to be very patient while reading the particular abstract. By reading each sentence, what you have to do is you need to connect it with the title. Is there any relation with the title for the abstract? Okay. After reading the title and the abstract, I personally suggest that there should be another sequential part like introduction, materials and methods, literature survey, materials and methods, results, and discussions. Like that, the sequential for order comes. So what I suggest is the next part will be the introduction part. Okay, I will show you one research journal. Okay, so this is a particular research journal that I am going through right now. So what exactly we need to do is, there should be a title available there. Correlation based ensemble feature selection using bio-inspired algorithms and classification using backpropagation neural network. So the title itself says that they are using a classification purpose using backpropagation neural network. So if I am doing a work in backpropagation neural network, I can take this paper. Okay. So what I will do is I will be reading the abstract part. So abstract is a small paragraph. It will be listing the what work they have done and what's the result they have mentioned. So this is the way how to write an abstract. So the next part will be the introduction part. So what I will suggest is, what I used to do is I will be reading the first paragraph of the introduction. It will give you the basic idea of what approach or what in which area that the author has been writing this paper. So here what he has mentioned is he has been doing a data mining technique or a clinical classification of data in a clinical repository. Okay, that's the idea that I am getting. There is no need for us to read the entire part, entire introduction. So the first paragraph will be more feasible. So majority of the good credible journals will be giving the introduction like that only. It will give an overview of in which area that what the author has written the paper. Okay. So after doing that, go for the last part of the introduction part. It will give you the roadmap of this particular paper. Roadmap in the sense means here in this example, it will be stated that section 3 represents the detailed description of system framework. So suppose I might be more interested with the system framework, I can jump to section 3. So like that, it will be giving an overview of what exactly is coming in the upcoming part. The related work and all don't go right now all of a sudden, because it's very boring for us, all of us, to read the literature review. So related work or literature review is something like your what is it? The scientists, those who have done work in machine learning. Okay, these are all the works that have already been done. So the author has read these papers and he is put forwarding the ideas there. I will come. I will let you know this part later. So after reading the introduction part, we can jump directly to the result section. What exactly the result that we are getting? Okay, what exactly the result we are getting? In the result part, there will be graphs and diagrams available. You need to understand those kind of stuffs also. See, results and discussions, a table is there. So you need to understand what exactly the table, what are all the values out there. So is there any way to connect the result part with the abstract and the title? You need to understand that thing. So then you need to go through the graph, which are all the graphs available. And you need to make sure that you are able to understand what exactly plotted in that graph. Okay, in the result part. The reason why is the methods and materials and the methods that is used in the particular paper might not be more interesting to you. Okay. So what exactly you need to do is, by using this method in this particular paper, what are all the results that he or she has obtained, that you need to go through. Then after reading the result part or after understanding the result part, you can come across with the materials and methods and the system framework. It will give you the overall structure of the particular paper. Then you might be having a doubt that, oh, this kind of work has already been done or not. You don't know that. At that point of time, you can read the literature review or the related work part. So related work part is from the year of 1986 onwards, you can refer the papers in the area of machine learning. For example, machine learning, you can refer the papers provided by the scientific journals or scientists who has already been published. Okay. So what exactly you need to do is, you need to go through the previous work that has been done in the particular area that has been listed by the author here. Okay, you need to go through that thing. So your idea might be conflicting with the previous idea. So then after reading the literature review, you might be getting a knowledge that, okay, this kind of works or this kind of technique has already been adopted. So there is no way for me to do it all of a sudden again. Okay, there won't be any novelty for that. If you redo the same thing again, there won't be any novelty. There is no innovation happening there. So instead of that thing, what exactly you need to do is, first you need to go through the title, then the abstract, then the first paragraph of the introduction, then the last paragraph of the introduction, then suddenly jump to the result part. Then if you are willing to go for read the conclusion part also, you can read the conclusion part. I personally suggest that thing also. Then you can go through the materials and methods and the system framework. And lastly, you can go through the related work. So this is the way how to read the paper successfully. That's my way of reading the paper. That's what I said earlier, that it's like training you people to ride the bicycle theoretically. Okay. So this is my way of reading the paper. You can also adopt another way also, which is more feasible to you. But first and foremost thing that you need to understand is, if you people are going to read it for the first time, it may be more tedious to you. It may feel more sleepy because it's a 2-column paper. Like, even though it is a 18-page paper, it is a 2-column. Okay, you need to read the columns twice. Okay, so it's more tedious. It will be more boring for you. So instead, to avoid that thing only, what I am suggesting is, you need to read the abstract, then you can jump to the introduction part. Not fully, that is the first paragraph of the introduction part itself will give you the basic idea of what exactly that the paper has been addressing. Then you can go to the result part, and then the materials and methods and the system. So like that, you need to read at most around 10 to 15 papers to get a particular idea in a particular area. So after reading these 15 papers patiently, you will be getting an idea that, okay, these are all the research gaps, or these are all the flaws that I have found in these 15 papers. Then you need to understand that whether is there any knowledge from your side, you can apply your knowledge to fill these research gap, or make these disadvantages as more advantage by giving you your knowledge. Okay. For that, what you have to do is, you need to discuss with your guide that I am having these kind of research ideas there. These are all the flaws in the current existing architecture. These are all the disadvantages in this architecture, and I am trying to rectify by using this method. Then a collective criticism or collective discussion will happen. For example, final year projects for BTech students will be comprises of 4 students. Okay. Each student can take 2 papers, minimum 2 papers. So total 8 papers. Okay. So what they have to do is, they need to discuss the 2 papers in among themselves. Okay. So the 8 paper will be by heart by all the 4 members. Then the 4 members can easily discuss with the particular disadvantages what they have felt in the particular paper, and they can collectively come up with an idea, and that idea can be shared with the guide. But the guide might be having some other idea. Sorry. Then you need to understand that, then you need to go for the possibility that, is there any possible to merge the guide's idea and our idea. Then a new novelty or novel work will be happening. So that's the way how to approach a particular research journal while reading. Okay. Because these journals are considered as the heart of the scientific community, because almost all the journals are giving you the more and more innovative knowledges and the current trends that are happening inside a particular area. That is by means of these kind of journals, and it is contributing a lot to the scientific community. So while reading these kind of things, you need to make sure that you are going through the almost all the aspects of the particular journal paper. Okay, this is how you are reading the paper. Okay, this is my idea that I am saying once again. This is the way to read the paper in my way. You can choose it in your way also. Okay. Coming back, the next part will be how to write the paper. Okay, so writing the paper is like that. What to say? Once you have write the paper, you are not keeping the paper by yourself. You'll be publishing somewhere. Okay, so I will combine these 2 techniques together by writing and publishing the paper. So for that, we need to show one thing. 1 minute. Okay. So this thing that I already mentioned, that we are writing to communicate the thing, not impressing someone. Okay, communicating the thing means you might be having an idea and you are trying to what to say aware the scientific community that these are all the methods that I have already mentioned, and I am getting these kind of results out there. So some other research scholar might be having some other idea in the same area. Okay, so he or she can also start working on your way, and they can also get more number of what to say research journals in the same area by embedding their knowledge. And what exactly you need to do is the reviewers will be giving the constructive criticism that I already mentioned, that they all need to publish your paper, but they will be giving the suggestions and they will be mentioning you the edits that you need to perform, because each journal will be having their own style of writing. Not all the journals are unique. Not all the journals are same. Each journals are having their own policies, their own what to say. Some might be accepting the Word format, some might be accepting the LaTeX format. So those kind of things are there. So you need to go through those kind of guidelines that's been listed in the journal page for the authors for writing the paper. So make sure that you are following all the guidelines that been published by the journal website. And what you need to do is you need to choose any one of the style. So that I will show you how to choosing the style or how to choose a particular reference. But it's simply copy pasting the reference part also, it's not good. So I will let you know that how to copy those kind of things. The next thing is you need to understand is sources to identify a particular topic. That's what I said earlier. There are a lot of sources out there, like simply hitting the Google server itself, will be getting a lot of ideas day by day. But you need to what to say, get a consent from your advisors and your collaborators. Sometimes you might be having an internship in a particular company, and that company might be having their own ideas. So they might be giving the internship based on their ideas, and you need to work on their based on their ideas. Okay, for example, you might be having an internship to work with ISRO. ISRO might be having their work. They won't allow you to work on your idea. They will be giving the topic. You need to work it on that thing. You need to do the research work. You need to do the coding. You need to do the result part, and you need to submit the work back to ISRO. That's the mode how they work. Understanding also, they are also providing the internship earlier. Now I don't know. Earlier they are also trying to work in their own area. They will be giving the idea. They will be giving the topic. You need to do the research work, you need to do the coding part, you need to do the software module part, and you will be submitting the thing back to the particular industry organization. So these are all the sources where you will be getting a particular topic, like internet, your research guide, or your students, your collaborating thing. So those kind of things, you'll be getting the resources. Okay, like the topic, and also you can discuss with the other colleagues also, because in your work sometimes you might be having a combination of cryptography and network, but you are well versatile in machine learning alone, but you need to embed these two modules also. There are some other people in that college who is well versatile in networking part. Okay, so instead of going with zero knowledge, what you have to do is you have to discuss with the technique and what kind of technique that you can approach by the person who is well versatile in the networking part or in the cryptographic part. So you need to brainstorm with your colleagues. And also a lot of research talks you need to listen, because for example, if you are starting your research work by hearing or reading a particular paper, it won't help you. You need to make sure that what are all the current advancements that are happening in the particular area. For that, the first and foremost thing is you need to read the paper, the latest paper, or if you are feeling very bored to read the paper also, you can search in the internet also. There are articles that are publishing every second in almost all the areas with the current trends and the current research work that is happening in the world. Okay, and you need to choose the area in such a way that it should be a cutting edge technology. Don't go the what to say, older version of things like that, because there might be a lot of questions they'll be asking to you. For example, initially a lot of people were while I was doing my postgraduate in the year 2010-12, cloud computing was getting much popular at that point of time. So my area of work was cloud computing. The majority of the people showed the output like they'll be connecting two machines, two systems, one as server and other as client. It's total foolishness actually at that point of time. But now, right now, if anyone is showing like that, means they will kick you out, because the software version of a cloud is available. AWS is available. Google Cloud is available. See, so don't go in the old-fashioned way. You need to choose the topic like a cutting-edge technology, which will give you more exposure. Okay, and you need to understand that you need to choose the topic in such a way that it should be very good and what to say, fruitful for you. So how to identify that? How to identify a good topic is another question. So that topic might be interesting to you. That's the first and foremost thing. Don't choose a topic that is being pressurized by someone else. You use a topic which is more interest to you. For example, I am well versatile in machine learning. If someone forces me to do a project in networking, I won't be doing that because I don't know that. And I am not at all interested in those areas. So choose a topic in such a way that which will excite you, which will be more interesting to you. And also choose a topic like the topic should be chosen in such a way that there should be some enhancement that can be done by yourself from the previous research. And you need to understand the current technology, current trends also. And it should be easily workable. That's another thing, because all these writing the journal paper, reading the journal paper, all depends upon the work that you are trying to do. So there should be a time frame available for that thing also. For example, for S7 and S8, I guess it will be over within 9 or 8 months. So within that period of time, you need to have your presentation, have your abstract, have your coding part. If it is a hardware, means you need to purchase the hardware, then you need to model the thing, then finally you need to assemble everything and show the output. While saying, orally saying, it's very easy, but in between you will be having your tech fest, you will be having your arts fest, you will be having your farewell thing. So those kind of things, you can't cope up with that. So you need to choose a topic that is workable within the particular time frame. That's the most important thing that you need to understand while choosing a topic. So like I already mentioned, or like I already showed, that it all works with a format like IMRD format, that is introduction, methods, results, and discussion. These things must be there for almost all the papers. These things must be there. Okay, because all the journals are following this format only, I guess. As far as I know, almost all the journals are following this format only. Like the introduction part, which area that you are trying to write. For example, I am writing a paper in machine learning. I need to understand the backdrop of machine learning, like artificial intelligence, the data mining. Then in which area that I am trying to apply. For example, I might be applying the AI or machine learning technique in fashion industry. Then I need to write a brief introduction about the fashion industry also. See, in the, in a top view, what exactly this journal paper does is, a common man might be reading my paper, and he or she should understand what exactly I have written in that paper and what exactly I have worked it out. Okay, so the term should be more common. It should not be more technical or more complex. It should be understandable by a layman. That's the most important thing that you need to understand while writing the whole paper. Okay, then you need to go for the methods part. Methods part, what exactly the method that you are trying to put forward, or what exactly the algorithm, or what exactly the technique that you are trying to impose, that you need to mention clearly in the method part. There is no need for you to write an essay for regarding like the introduction part, those kind of stuffs in the method part. Just write what you have done with the substantiating proof. Like the method part, you might be referring some technique from a person who has written the same work in the year 2010. So you need to refer the paper there. So for a reader like me, I will be going through that thing and I will be clicking the reference part. Then I will make sure that I will be reading that author's paper also. So it will give more idea to me personally. Then comes the results part. That's the most important thing while writing a paper, that you will be working out and you will be getting some results. Some results you will be getting. You need to get some results also. For publishing a particular scientific journal, you need to get some results also. So a result might be in the form of a table. That table can be converted to graphical format. Or example, you might be having an output like wavelet transformation, like that. Those kind of graphs also you can put forward. And if you are putting the graph, the x-axis and the y-axis should be clearly mentioned, because a layman, after seeing the graph, should understand what exactly the graph is, or what what the graph is representing that he or she should understand based on the title. If there is no relation between the title and the abstract and the things that you have written in the methods with the graphical part, there is no use. Okay. And finally, the discussion part. Discussion part will give you the overall conclusion. It's not conclusion. It will discuss you the results that you have obtained with the methodology that you have approached. That is, what does it mean? That's the basic overall question that's been curated in the discussion part. And it will give you an idea that what exactly can be done in future. That is future enhancement. So in short, what we can curate is that introduction will give you what was the question, and methods will give you the question like how did you try to answer it, or what methodology that you have approached. And in the result part, it will say that based on these things, what you have found out. So these are all the questions that we'll be addressing after going through this introduction, methods, and the results and the discussion part. And I will show you one thing, the basic, structure of a particular journal. See, this is the basic structure of a particular journal. This is the complete format. Like a title will be there, author's name will be there, abstract will be there, keywords will be there, introduction will be there, literature review or related works will be there, methods or methodology will be there, and the result part will be there, a discussion will be there, conclusion will be there. The reference part is one thing that I already mentioned, that you might be taking an idea that who has already been published the paper in the year 2010. You need to refer the paper. Likewise, you might be reading lot of papers to gain some knowledge to write a paper based on your area. So you need to put forward all the papers and all the links that you have taken. Sometimes you might be taking an article, or something you might be having a knowledge on the website or research articles, not a journal paper, some research article. You need to cite that thing also. That comes along the reference part. In the acknowledgement part, if you are having anyone to acknowledge, like your guide has helped you a lot, or sometimes you have the internship from a particular company and they are paying you to do this, you can acknowledge them also. So this is the basic structure of a journal. So based on this thing only, you will be writing a research paper or a journal article. Okay. So this is the thing that I already mentioned, that title. So what exactly is, everyone will be reading the title only, first part. In the first part, they will be reading the title only. For example, I am writing a paper which says that classification of heart disease patients. So the title itself says that classification of heart disease using machine learning. So in that, how we can decode is, I am using an approach called classification. I am using that classification on heart disease data, and I am trying to use machine learning techniques. So from the title itself, we can decode a lot of things. That's what I said, that you need to relate the title with the abstract a particular author has already been written. You need to, relate these two things. And also in the keyword part, what you need to do is you need to mention the keyword that are more relevant to the particular paper. You are writing a paper in machine learning, and if you put a keyword like deep learning, it won't make any sense to the research community. It won't make any sense to the particular journal. So you need to choose the keyword in such a way that which is more relevant to the paper that you have written. And the abstract part that I already mentioned, that it gives the editors and the reviewers and the other readers give the first impression. Okay, he has written something in the abstract part. Okay, and this abstract part is more interesting to me. If I feel like that, means I will be reading the remaining part. Okay. So if the abstract part itself says that I am using some technique that has not been able to use, then the reviewer or the readers will found awkward. Oh, this technique can't be used in this area, then how he used? Those kind of questions may arise. So the abstract and the title should be more relatable. The remaining part also we can convincingly write, but these two things are more crisp and more highlighted one. Okay. So it briefly summarizes the entire paper. That's the major advantage of writing a correct abstract. Okay. And then comes the introduction part. So the introduction part gives the backdrop of the study that you have, what you have done. So it will help you what exactly the importance of the research that you have done in the particular paper. So if there is any importance that you have given, that part should be highlighted in the introduction part. Unnecessarily don't write any, what to say, a lot of long sentences or paragraphs like that. It should be, what to say, it will help you to identify the questions that the research has been addressed. You need to, after reading the introduction part, some questions might be asked by yourself. Okay, is it worthwhile, or is this the technique that alone can be used in this area? So those kind of research questions you need to ask by yourself in your mind while writing the paper, or while fetching an idea also, you can employ this technique. After reading the abstract and the introduction part, you can relate to this thing. Or if you are well versatile in a particular area, what you need to do is there any other alternative technique can be employed in this area? That also an innovation. That's also an innovation. See, for example, nowadays smartphones are coming. Almost all the smartphones are nowadays are having similar feature, but they are embedding 3 camera, 4 camera for novelty purpose. But all are performing the similar thing only. Few are exceptions. Few are exceptions. So these kind of same strategy also you can apply here. For example, someone might have written a paper to for applying a machine learning technique to detect COVID-19 disease. Okay, so he might be written that particular paper with his technique. So you need to think the question in your own, that whether is there any other technique that can be applied to the particular data. Yes, you can use that, because the data is freely available out there. You can use that. And you have to write the paper in your own way. Don't copy paste the entire paper as such. For that part, I will come later, because there is a section called ethics in writing. There should be some ethics in writing the paper. That's the last part that we are going to discuss here. Okay, this is the introduction part, and the abstract and the introduction will give you the clear-cut idea. So what content that should be embedded in the introduction part is, what are all the relevant previous research that has been happened inside the research part, and what exactly is lacking in the previous research. And you are trying to use some methodologies or some algorithms to fill those lack of information in the previous research. That's the ideology that you need to curate while writing a introduction part in your research journal. Okay, then comes the literature review part, or the related works part. In the literature review or related works, what exactly it comes is the work or the research journals that has already been published in the area from years. Okay, for example, basically, I am from a computer science background. For example, cloud computing. The cloud computing strategy might have been started in the year 1990. The basic paper has started in the year 1990. Now it's 2021. So while writing a new paper in the area of cloud computing, I need to start from either from the ascending order or from the descending order. That is, either from the newest to the oldest part, or from the oldest to the newest part. Don't mix it. So while choosing a paper, there should be some flow between the papers that you are choosing. And mostly you need to write the literature review in past tense. You don't write it in the present tense. You need to write it in the past tense, and also arrange it in the chronological order. That's what I said, that either in the ascending order or in the descending order. For example, you might be selecting the paper from 2021 onwards. Then you need to go like that, 21, 20, 19, 2010, like that. You need to go. Don't mix it. Like you will be choosing a paper, you will be writing the first paper from the year 1986. The second paper you are writing in 2021. It won't make any sense. It can't be connected together. So there should be some logical connection between the studies that you are trying to put forward in the literature review or the related works. There should be a flow. Okay, in the year 1996, this kind of things happened, and 1997, a somewhat updated version has happened. But in the year 2021, more advanced version is there, and I am trying to propose a newer thing. Like that, you can add a newer paragraph also. So there should be a logical flow between the studies that you are trying to propose inside the literature review or the related works. Or else you can give it as a summary table also. You can give it as a serial number, author name, year, journal, and what you inferred from those reading those papers, you can put forward there. So it will give you a clear-cut idea that, okay, these, if you are arranging the table in a year wise, you can clearly, have a vision that in these years, these kind of updations have been happened in the particular area. So I can apply these techniques for much more improvement. It will give you a clarity, more clarity for writing a particular research journal. Then comes the methodological part, or what method that you are trying to do. Sometimes you might be replicating the methods that has been proposed by someone else. Okay. For example, I have created a newer algorithm for detecting a COVID-19. Your Anjana Miss might be taking the same idea for writing a new paper in some other data. She can use that. She can use that. There is nothing wrong in that. But what to say? She need to convince the authors, or she need to convince the reviewers in such a way that this has not been copied from my work. They can use the technique, but not copy the entire work as such. So while doing the methodology part, or while writing the methodology part, you need to allow others to evaluate what you have done. They need to know that you have done something in there. Or if your findings are from your own idea, then you need to substantiate the statements, and you need to give the proof. You need to, if you are devising a newer algorithm, you need to, convince the authors or convince the reviewers that this algorithm has been tested in these kind of frameworks, or these kind of functional mathematical modeling. So those kind of proofs you need to put forward if you are devising a new technique by your own, because you can't write a paper like I have created a newer algorithm on this so and so and so. You need to attach some proof in the particular paper that this algorithm has been tested in these kind of some mathematical functions are there for creating a newer and newer algorithm. So your algorithm need to satisfy the conditions or the criteria for those mathematical modeling algorithms functions. If it satisfies there, you can give the proof, or you can put forward a table there, and then you can write it in your own. So the reviewer or the person who is examining the paper will go through the particular algorithm that you have written by your own, and he or she will be checking the same thing with the proof that you have attached. If everything goes okay, then it will be considered as a novel work. Otherwise, it will be considered as an innovation work only. It's not novel work, because Anjana Miss is taking my idea and she is put forwarding in some other data. The only difference is the data that she has used. They can also write the paper like that only, but I personally won't agree that, because just copying the idea and doing it in a different data won't make any sense. It won't give more credibility, or it won't give more it's not authentic to claim that I have written a particular paper in a particular journal. It's not authenticate. And the next part is in the what type of amount of detail that you need to use in the methodological part. First of all, you need to understand that if you are taking a previous method, it should be a well-known method. Okay, and you should clearly state that the previous method are having these kind of disadvantages, and you are trying to rectify those kind of disadvantages in your model. That you need to clearly mention, and particular citation of reference should be there if you are taking a particular methodology from a previous work. Okay, these are the things that you need to understand while writing a methodological part. And most importantly, if you are doing a project in any area, there should be an architectural diagram. Architectural diagram in the sense means the architectural diagram itself should speak what exactly that you are doing. So sometimes I have seen students doing architectural diagram just like a flowchart. Flowchart is different, architectural diagram is different. Okay, you need to specify the modules that you are trying to use in the architectural diagram, and it should give the third person a clear view that okay, these are all the work that's been done inside the work that you are going to propose. Okay, there is no need for you to explain all the things like for a presentation. If some presentation happens inside the college, what you need to do is you need to take the architectural diagram and you need to explain the architectural diagram. That's enough. There is no need for you to go through the almost all the things slide by slide. There is no need for that. But you need to make sure that while drawing the architecture diagram, you need to have some basic knowledge about the area. You need to know the basic work that has been previously done by the authors. You need to know the basic knowledge about what exactly the current trends happening here, what modification that you are trying to propose. So these things you need to mention here in the architecture diagram, and that should be embedded in the methodology part. And the algorithm that you are using, you can also embed the same thing in the methodology part. And if some mathematical equations are there, you can embed that thing also in the methodology part. Okay. And the final comes is the result section. As we all know that, as we discussed earlier, the result part is the most, the backbone of the particular paper. Backbone in the sense means the result part itself will give you the, the idea that you have worked on some methodology and you are getting these results. The results can be either in the form of tabular or values or graphical format or anything. Result can be of anything, some value. Might be some value. You will be getting some p value or n value or x value, like that. So you need to state the result in such a way that based on your experiment, you are getting this as your result. Okay. So once you publish the paper, someone might be asking a question. Oh, for this data, you are getting this much result. You need to state that, yes, for the experimentation you have done, you have got this result. That confidently you need to say. And for example, if computer science students are there, means if someone is going through machine learning project or something like that, there is a process called evaluating the model by means of performance metric. So we can choose any performance metric. For example, accuracy. Accuracy is one performance metric that we commonly use. So higher the accuracy, more reliable the system is. Like that's the concept that we are having. But the major hurdle that we the researchers face is the real-time data won't be giving much accuracy. For example, it might be giving an accuracy of around 58 or 60%. You can't write the paper with that 58 or 60% because the same data or some other technique will be giving 90 or 95%. So what the common research people will do is, I have seen people doing that thing. They will boost the accuracy part. They will simply write that I have got 99.99% of accuracy for this model. They are not having the seriousness, because if some reviewer start doing the same paper with the same technique he or she has done, then he will be getting an accuracy of around 60%. Then there will be a question that how you are claiming that you are getting 99 or 100%. So you can't boost the result part. You have to put the result as such. If the results are not coming up to the mark, what you have to do is you need to rework with the methodologies that you have approached. That's the thing that you can do. Okay, there should be some performance criteria, or that there should be some findings that there should be some output that you will be getting from the particular research work that you have done. So you should present the result, but not comment on them. Like I am getting the highest result for this. Don't comment like that, because there should be some other technique which can be applied on the same data will be giving another result. There is a famous theorem called no free lunch theorem, which says that no algorithm is better than the other one. Okay. You can't state that one algorithm is much better than the other one. You can't say that. It all depends upon the data, or it all depends upon the environment that you are using. So we can't comment like that. So while writing the paper, you need to make sure that you are not doing that thing. And the major common mistakes that you possibly occur while writing a paper is repetition. So sometimes in the introduction part, you'll be writing something. The same thing might be you have written in the methodology part also. So that should be avoided. And also there should be a sequential flow of things that should be embedded in the particular paper. Like introduction part, it should be purely introduction. Don't mention the work there. The work should be mentioned in the system framework or the methodology part. In the literature review also, you need to mention what work that author has written. That's all. Don't give what's your contribution on that. Don't write that, because there is a separate section for that thing. And also inappropriate presentation of the data, graph. And don't use more tables, more figures. So you need to choose the tables which are more relevant to your work. You need to choose the figures that are more relevant to your work. Sometimes majority of the work might be copying the architecture from some other websites or something like that. There is no harm in doing that, but you need to keep the source for that. you need to cite that thing also from which website you have taken. Unless otherwise, what you will be doing is you will be copy pasting the particular architecture from a website and you will be claiming that that has been done by you. No, there is a software for checking the plagiarism. That plagiarism software will, first of all, it will be finding the link also. So it's an internet-based software. So what it does is it will syntactically, it will be testing the words that you have taken from the internet. So if you have copied that I will come later. That plagiarism part I will come later. So these are all the common mistakes that we are what to say. We will come across while writing a particular paper. And also don't draw conclusions before writing the result section, because what the ideology is that you have done a particular methodology in a particular data and you have got these kind of results, and then you can conclude. Don't write in the conclusion part much earlier than the results part or the discussion part. Okay. And in the future enhancement also, what you have to mention is that you are giving the possibility for other researchers to work with your data or your area. Okay. There might not be any limitations for them to work on these kind of concepts or something like that. Because, for example, if the limitations are seem unlikely to affect the conclusions, what we have to do is we need to give a hint in the future enhancement part that this work can be done in the next work or something like that. Or the future enhancement might be doing an iteration of more than 100 epochs or 200 epochs or 200 times this, if the program is running, you will be getting a much better result. Like that, you are giving a major hint to the another researcher who is willing to do the research in your area. That's the future enhancement that you can give. And finally, the reference part. Reference part is like giving the credit to their work. So other people might be having the work in the same area. You will be referring those papers also, and you will be taking some concepts from those papers. So you need to give credit for others. So that's what we call as references. So references might be having, I guess, 4 or 5 formats. But you need to choose only one format, and that format should be followed by all the other reference papers also. Okay, that I will show you. 1 minute. So this is a Google Scholar website, and in that I will type ensemble learning. See, for example, a survey on ensemble learning for data stream classification. This is the paper that I am trying to cite. I have read the paper, and I have to cite this paper in my journal paper. So what I have to do is, there is an option called this thing. I need to click that. So in that, 5 formats are there. MLA format is there, APA format is there, Chicago format is there, Harvard format is there, Vancouver format is there. So if you are choosing MLA format, this is for the first reference. If you are choosing the MLA format, then if your paper is having 33 or 50 references, all the 50 references should follow that format alone. Make it uniform. If you are using APA, means choose APA for almost all the references that you are using. Okay, so that's the basic idea that you need to understand while mentioning the reference part. Okay, 1 minute. Okay, come down. Okay, so yeah, that's what I mentioned, that in the reference part, you are giving the credit for the others' work, and it will give the credibility to your work by showing that you have accessed their information in your paper. Okay, and it will also give the hint to other readers that, okay, this work is related to the paper that has been done by some other persons in the year 2010 or 2012 or 2020. Okay, so while reading a paper like machine learning, I'll be having a doubt that, oh, this kind of work has not been done by anyone else. So in the particular journal that I am going to read, it has clearly been stated that this work has been done by the particular author in the year 1986 or 1990. So what I will do is, I need to go through that ideology also. So I will click on that link and I will go through and refer that paper also. Okay. So these are all the privileges that we are having while doing a journal paper, while writing and while reading also. In both, we are having the privilege to add the references in such a way that it will give the readers with further information. Okay. And finally, you will be having the acknowledgement part. That's what I mentioned earlier. If there is a person to thank you, you need to make the acknowledgement there. And if you are having a financial aid or you are having a scholarship or something like that, or this project is sponsored by some funding agencies, you need to acknowledge them also. Okay, it will boost their morality also. So you need to give them a credit also, because they are funding you and you are doing the project. The both of them are beneficiary at that point of time. Okay. And finally, the overall guidelines for writing the research writing is, I will conclude in such a way that you need to write simply and clearly. That's the basic thing. Don't use, what to say, complex terms. Use only common words, like the common words that we use to read a particular textbook or a particular articles. Don't go for a complex terms. I have seen research scholars checking the dictionary for what to say, for a particular term. They will be checking for the synonym, and they will be finding some complex words to replace the simple words for adding the novelty. There is no use in that, because as long as the paper is more simple, it will reach more people. Okay, use common words. And regarding the overall structure of the particular paper, you need to follow the journal guidelines. That's the main thing. And also use subheadings, like in the introduction part, you might be using cloud computing and machine learning. Don't write everything in one paragraph or two paragraphs. Make subheadings like cloud computing. Then give a brief introduction about cloud computing. Machine learning. Give a subheading like machine learning and give a brief introduction about what exactly is machine learning. Like that, you need to give subheadings whichever is necessary for understanding the paper. Okay. And what you need to do is, you need to avoid long paragraph, long sentences, and what to say, organize the information carefully. That's the main thing that you need to understand. For example, the IMRD format might be followed by almost all the journals. If you, what to say, after the introduction, if you are trying to put forward the result section, it won't make any sense for reading. So you need to follow the guidelines that has been instructed by the journal people. And finally, that's what I was able to say, that ethics in writing. Ethics in writing is the one thing that you need to be more careful. For example, I have seen students, I'll be telling students to write a literature review on a particular topic by next week. I'll be saying that. I used to say that. So what they will do is, I'll be telling them to write, telling them to read almost 5 to 7 papers and write a literature review based on those 7 papers. So based on the lecture, what they will do is they will simply copy paste the 7 papers and they will submit it in correct time. There is no authenticity in that. So what I will do is, there is a plagiarism software for me. I'll be putting the same Word document. I'll be converting that into PDF and I'll be submitting that in the plagiarism software. So what the software does is, it will search the web repository from where they have taken. It will show the link also. Okay, so there should be some authenticity should be there. There should be some uniqueness should be there. Even though you'll be taking the idea from some other paper, you need to convince the reader or the writer or the reviewer in such a way that you are writing it in by your own words. So don't copy paste. Don't copy paste, and don't what to say, take as such from a particular paper, because the copyright issue will be there. Once the paper will be published in some journals, the original author can claim for the copyright thing. Then case, those kind of stuff will come. So don't go for that. Write a paper in your own words and make it more authenticate, and don't fabricate anything. Okay. And there should be some originality should be there, and appropriate credit should be given to the authors that they have already been mentioning the technology or the concepts in the previous years. These are all the ethics that you need to follow while writing a particular paper. Okay. And finally, I will show you one more thing, another website that I already told. So first and foremost thing that you need to understand, that I am not promoting this website, because it's not a good website. Not a good website in the sense means it's not proper for me to what to say suggest this kind of website to students. But it's a resourceful one because many of the research journals might not be accessible by almost all the organizations. The organizations might be having limitations in the license part also. So what they have to do is, for example, 1 minute, I will show you. See, for example, in the Google Scholar, I am searching for a particular paper in neural network classification. This is the keyword that I am entering, and I am getting these kind of papers here itself. See, if I hit this HTML version or PDF version, I'll be getting the paper as such. Okay, there is no hurdle in that. Okay, 1 minute. See here, download PDF is there, and the HTML version, I can read the paper. Entire paper I can read. There is no issue. And here also, if I click the PDF part, I will be getting the PDF version alone. Okay, there is no issue in that. But there are some paper, they are not being able to be accessed by the Google Scholar. Like for example, neural network classification of remote sensing data. Click on that. See, for example, you need to purchase PDFs. Okay, so your organization might not be having the license of this Science Direct to download the particular paper. So for example, the organization need to pay a huge amount of money for purchasing the license. It's similar to the license that you will be purchasing for a particular software. Okay, it's a similar thing. For example, this paper might be more and more helpful for you to what to say, do your research work. Okay, so the first thing you can do is you can approach the author. Okay, you can tell the author that you can write a mail to this author that I am doing a research in this area, remote sensing data, and I am using the classification part and I am using the neural network part. Can you please share the original paper with me? If he is willing, means he will be sharing the paper to you. If he is not willing, means the next part you need to do is just copy the DOI. This is the date of index. Copy this thing. This is the website, Skyhub. I'm not promoting this. Just paste this. Hope we will get the paper. See, we are getting the paper, the original paper. I'm not promoting this. Once again, I am saying that I'm not promoting this thing. But for the students, those who are thirst of knowledge, they need this paper, means they can use this thing. Okay. So this is the way you can find the resources. And majority of the time, we'll be having the library, which will be providing more number of journals out there. And choose the journals from the oldest to the newest version. Okay. And the basic thing is all of the students and all of the staff, all of the research scholars are having mobile phones, tablets, laptops, and all. And I personally won't suggest that. Don't read paper on these kind of stuff. Okay. Once you download the paper, take a printout. Okay. Have a hard copy with you. Write down whatever you feel like a sticky note or something like that. And if you are not being able to understand the abstract part, you can write small notes, what you need to study, like that. See, these kind of smartphones, a laptop, iPad, tablet, PC and all won't give those kind of privileges like writing it with a pen or a marker. So always take a handful of printout with you, read the paper, mark out the important things that you try to follow in that paper, and try to Google it, what all the major advancements that you can make it in the upcoming idea that you are going to propose in your project. Okay, so this is the basic thing, and I will show you one more website which will give you another academic search engine like PubMed. This is also another source of academic search engine which will give you the more number of papers that are available. See here, latest literature, some keywords will be there. So if you click pediatrics, means you will be getting the paper related to pediatrics. Okay, like that you can search. It's similar to the Google Scholar that I mentioned earlier. So like that, lot of journals are there, like Science Direct, a lot of things are there. So you need to choose a particular journal for writing, reading, and publishing. Okay, which is more favorable to you. And also, while publishing the journal, you need to make sure that the journal will be having an adequate time to respond. Because if you send paper to some journals and it will be taking 2 or 3 years for them to respond, no need to send that. So you need to choose the journal in such a way that the average response time should be of 2 or 3 months. So that while you will be completing your BTech, you will be getting that paper published in the particular journal. So I personally suggest that you personally go for the Scopus Index journal. So final year students, now itself you can start. I guess by June your session will be over. I think so. I don't know. So you need to, if you are not yet been started, means you have to start now itself. At least try for some Scopus Index journals and put the journal name. If it is getting published, means put the journal name in your what to say your resume, and it will be giving more highlight for the next job opportunities that you are trying to use. Otherwise, there is no use that you have done a project in some CDAC or something like that, and you are not published any paper, means it's not feasible for right now. The current trend is like that because almost all the HR people are now looking for people or students who are multi-talented, both in arts and both in the project work and in the publishing the paper, taking the seminar. So it all indicates that a particular student is proactive. Okay, so they need candidates who are much more proactive. Okay, so make sure that you will be following all these guidelines. And I know that personally, it's an afternoon time. You'll be very sleepy for listening all these things, but make sure that you will be continuously communicating with your teacher or the guide, and they can guide you much better than anyone else. Okay, so if there is any other questions that you need to ask, means you can ask right now, or otherwise we can leave.
Thank you, sir. Students